Good evening. We're about to get started here. Good evening from Rising Star Missionary Baptist Church, Griffin, Georgia. I'm Janitha Holmes, the moderator for this evening. Welcome to the City of Griffin 2023 Mayoral Candidate Debate between Standing Mayor Douglas Holberg, candidate Dr. Yashonda Jones, candidate Daoud Amin Sr. Thank you to our participating sponsors, Sinquez Jester Consulting, Harris Landscaping and Design, and the Rising Star Missionary Baptist Church. Discussion for the debate will be in the range of topics, including affordable housing, government transparency, to youth development. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes to respond to the direct question and an additional 30 minutes for the rebuttal. Questions have been generated from the community. None of the candidates have any previous insight on the questions. There will also be an opportunity for the general public to ask questions to each candidate. That will be 30 seconds for the question and 2 minutes for the response for each candidate. We ask that this debate be held in high regards of respect, common courtesy, and sound moral base. We ask that all applause be held off until the end of the debate, with the exception of the entrance of the candidates. Thank you. There has already been an assigned order for each candidate, and so they will at this time open with their introductions.
Good evening, everyone. Trying to make sure this is on. My name is Dr. Yashonda Jones. I am a lifelong resident of Griffin, Georgia. I have been a community advocate here for years, making sure that our residents are taken care of as far as affordable housing, also with our youth as well as our seniors. I have been doing this work in the community not for recognition, but because we need to have someone that cares about our residents. We have our differences, we all do everywhere, but we are real human beings with real issues and real problems, and we need real leadership. So that is why I am running for mayor. I have been asked by community members to fill the void that they feel is in our current leadership, and I want to make sure that the least of us is taken care of and that everything is fair and equitable across the board for all citizens that live in Griffin, Georgia. Thank you.
Once again, if you all would hold all applause off until the end of the debate. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Daoud Amin, and I'm a candidate for mayor of the city of Griffin. Election November the 7th, 2023. I'm a lifelong resident here in Griffin, Georgia. I've been involved in community life most of my life. I'm a small business owner for over 30 years here in this town. I've worked in many capacities here in Griffin as a volunteer, whether it was the Main Street Advisory Board, the Griffin Spalding Development Authority, Griffin Spalding Business and Tourism Association, and other community-based organizations. I've been a part of all of that. when voter registration was done, when you had to go through the Justice Department to get pre-clearance back long before many of you were born. I was doing that work as a teenager, as a young man. I look forward to representing you, the citizenry, as your next mayor. I look at the position of mayor more than what it is presently identified as. I look at being the mayor as a platform to bring about change on areas that need to be addressed, whether they're dealing with the youth, public safety, housing, jobs. All of those areas are areas that I'm passionate about. I see myself as one with a vision of what Griffin can be. I look to remake Griffin, step out beyond mediocrity. I'm not satisfied with things the way they are. We can do better. Not throwing shade at anyone in office, whether it's Mayor Holberg here tonight or any of the other commissioners. I look forward to working with them if elected, if you see fit to let me work for you. That's all me saying running for mayor is, meaning I want to work for you to make Griffin a better place. We can do better. That was a time when Griffin, a half a century ago, was the benchmark of growth in South Atlanta. It was the place between Atlanta and Macon. Now, all our surrounding areas have surpassed us. So I'm saying, let's look forward to making Griffin better. Let's remake Griffin. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Douglas S. Holberg. To begin, I'd like to thank Mr. Jester and Rising Star Baptist Church for hosting the Candidates Forum. I've been married for 33 years to Pamela Parsons, who is a special education teacher at Atkinson Road Elementary. My daughter Lucinda is married and lives in Kennesaw, where she works for a technology company dealing with off-site data storage. My son Marsh is married and lives in Colorado Springs, where he serves as a second lieutenant in the United States Army as an armor officer. I'm a deacon and member of First Baptist Church and member of the Kiwanis Club of Griffin. I have served on the Salvation Army Advisory Board and the Flint River Boy Scout Council Executive Board, currently serving as District Fundraiser Chair and on the Eagle Scout Board Review. I currently work as an independent insurance agent for Rivers Insurance and manage Westwind Apartments owned by Holberg Properties. A better Griffin is just as important to us as it is to you, and I believe that my record as your mayor, knowledge of this community, and the relationships I have developed over the years will allow me to continue bringing the City Commission the kind of leadership you expect and deserve. For the past 20 years, I've worked hard to identify serious issues in our city government that desperately needed attention, to include financial accountability, economic development, and an emphasis on a safe, wholesome community. I've had the opportunity to represent the City of Griffin on the Chamber of Commerce, Griffin Downtown Council, Three Rivers Regional Commission, Griffin Main Street Board. As Griffin's mayor, I've been appointed by the Georgia Municipal Association as a member of the Legislative Policy Committee, Municipal Training Board, and currently serve as co-chair of the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Council. As hardworking, responsible citizens, we expect our city's management to manage, conserve resources, and to build efficiencies that will result in a better quality of life for you. We have laid the foundation to build and redevelop this community. You deserve no less. As in each year, the City Commission makes tough budget decisions and again unanimously adopted the conservative 2023-24 budget that meets our financial requirements and the goals of the board developed. We have maintained a stable tax base and have not raised property taxes. Our 2023 millage rate of 6.254 with a $10,000 homestead exemption is less than the 8.85 millage rate when I took office in 2004. This past year's audit reports that our general fund balance is $15,800,000 compared to a negative $3.139 million in 2004 when I was sworn in as your at-large commissioner. You deserve proven leadership that works to maintain the city's budget and government services provided. I have pushed to stricter property maintenance codes and ensure quality neighborhood redevelopment. The past decade, my 3 minutes up. Thank you so much. Look forward to talking with you in a minute.
We will will try to keep this at a time frame. We're headed to the next portion of the debate here, and which are the debate questions. The subjects at hand are affordable housing, government transparency, youth services, utilities, and public safety. And at this time, there has already been an order established by the candidates, so we will follow that guideline. We will start off here with our first question, and also I will also remind them there is 2 minutes to respond, and there's a 30-second time frame for your rebuttal, and we're going to definitely keep that time frame. First, starting with the first question, each candidate will receive the same question, and we'll start with candidate Dawood Amin Sr. What specific plans do you have to address the issues of affordable housing in our city? And how will you ensure that all residents have access to safe and affordable housing?
Thank you. One of the areas that is a major part of my campaign is housing. You know, when we talk about affordable housing, here in Griffin, I think we're going to have to start thinking outside of the box. The housing that we knew just 10 years ago is no longer the housing that's in place. We're going to have to start looking at tiny houses. We got to start looking at rezoning, higher density housing. We got to look at getting investors to invest in housing that's going to allow them to get a return on their investment, but maybe a portion of that development that could be a segment of that housing that will go to that group that would be under that range of where that medium income is. Those are some of the areas that I see that we're going to have to address. And we may even have to step outside the box even beyond that in an area where I call senior student housing, where some of our seniors may have to do as though they did when we was in college, find like-minded people and start looking to even team up with them on some of the housing. Because, ladies and gentlemen, new development is coming. The people that are coming here, they are not from Griffin. They are not looking at just us, but they are looking at what they can get as investors. And in doing so, we ourselves will have to make incentives to induce them to say, let's do something a little bit different, in that we can enable the people that have lived here most of their life to be able to afford the housing that's coming about. Thank you.
Thank you. My background is housing. For over 33 years, I've been a landlord. At this time, we're down to just 32 rental units in this community. When you look at what the city of Griffin has been able to accomplish over the last decade, we have leveled over 1,000 housing units. When you look at removal of McNeely apartments across from Mayoral Elementary, we've removed the slums that were across from Atkinson Road Elementary School. We've bought and demoed the properties, the shotgun houses on Edgewood that were considered historical houses in the late 90s. With partnership with the Housing Authority and other redevelopment partners, through the Housing Authority alone, we have rehabbed or built 360 new workforce and senior housing units. Another 150 housing units through tax credits have been built on 362. We currently are in contentions for a future workforce housing development tax credit project where the old Griffin Daily News site is at, and then a scattered housing tax credit project located across from Mayoral Elementary and adjacent to the Rosenwald School Heritage Park area. We're also working with market-based apartment communities. We have a new proposal that's coming that's been rezoned for 250 units just north of the hospital in City Park that'll be contiguous to our historic downtown Griffin. We're working with Pace Burt, who has purchased the old Thomaston Mill, and he plans to build 160 market-based loft apartments in the Thomaston Mill. So this synergy that's coming to Griffin, Georgia is amazing right now. People have seen Griffin, Georgia, and see the opportunities. We've laid the foundation, and we continue to work together to partner with, for private and for profit and nonprofit groups of how to better serve the citizens of Griffin and Spalding County, and look forward to the rebirth of our Griffin area. Thank you.
I I hear a lot of talk about future things, but let's talk about what should have been done and could be done right now when it comes to affordable housing. We have leadership that has not chosen to introduce any type of rent control. They dropped the ball when we had the disaster declared from the tornadoes, where they could have kept the property owners from increasing rent on the residents. They did not do that. They could have implemented an ordinance for these developers that are coming in to make them have a certain percentage of whatever they're building to be allocated to affordable housing. They have not done that. But what they have done is allow a developer to come in and try to build $300,000 homes on Quilly Street. Mayor Holberg voted in favor of that. We also had to fight to get the housing development, the new one that was just built on Williamson Road. Mayor Holberg did not want that. So there are things that could be done right now and should have been done before that have not been. And these are just a couple of the things that could have been implemented by our leadership that they chose not to.
At this time, we'll move on to question 2. Moving on to question number 2. We'll start off with Mayor Holberg. Public safety is a top concern for many citizens. How will you work to improve public safety in our community? And what strategies do you have to build trust between law enforcement and the community they serve?
Thank you. I have a lifelong history of service, working with our youth, working with our public. I've had 20 years as a soccer coach, over 30 years working as a scout volunteer. I've worked diligently as a youth leader at my church. I've actually brought Youth Mission Project to Rising Star Baptist Church through Kingdom Builders, where we built a playground for them. I've worked diligently for the greater good of Griffin. I'm a humble servant. I love everybody, and I do everything I can to try to improve people's quality of life. We as a community, especially with the faith-based community, must continue to work with young people. We must mentor them. I'm a mentor, have been for the last 5 years at Atkinson Road Elementary School. I continue to go to schools and talk to young people about how that they need to work hard to get education and to work on their career skills. In regards to policing and community, we've got to do a better job. We are, through this transition that we're in right now with the police department, we plan to bring about a new version of a citizen engagement police division that's going to work more closely with our citizens, work more closely with our people to build relationships and help develop a level of trust that you expect and deserve. Griffin is an amazing place, but it takes each one of us to step up and to volunteer and to commit to make sure that our young folks have the right mentors and not have situations like we had at the Griffin High Spalding game where young people take the lives of another person. So it's each of us, our responsibility to work together for the greater good of one Griffin. Thank you.
So when we talk about public safety, everyone needs to be aware that the state of Georgia is one of the states that has a minimum number of hours required for a police officer to be certified, which is a problem in itself. The other thing is lack of training. There are no de-escalation techniques that are being utilized. They don't have training to recognize when someone is in a mental health crisis, which a lot of these issues happen with our youth as well. But beyond mentorship, our youth have nothing to do here. One of the reasons that I am running for mayor is because we have begged, we have pleaded, we have shouted from the mountaintops that we need a youth center for our youth here, that we need a swimming pool for our youth here. And the best answer that we can get is, well, that's going to require a lot of money. And you can find money for everything else, but yet you can't find money for our children that need to have things to do, our children that need a community center that they can go to get tutoring, to get mentorship, to get job training and things of that nature that we do not currently have. We need these things for our children in order for them to thrive and for them to be successful, and we don't have that.
I think when it comes to public safety, really my colleague my right here, they both made excellent points. We don't have to go out and try to reinvent something that's already proven itself. I think what we need to do is work with community activists, faith-based groups, law enforcement, schools, those in parks and rec, and especially families, homes, parents. And let us, as a group, work together to seize an opportunity to make Griffin better by addressing these concerns. No one individual has all the answers, but we as a community, we can put our thinking caps on and go about the business of seeing what can be done to address all the ills that we are faced with, because it's going to affect all of us sooner or later, regardless of where you live. Sooner or later, it's going to be at your door. So we should not allow ourselves to be lulled to sleep thinking that the way things are now, that's somebody else's problem. It affects all of us. Thank you.
Also, to each candidate, if you need the question reread, I will surely reread the question, if you're not the first one to go. We're moving on to question number 3, and we'll start with Dr. Yeshonda Jones. Transparency in government is crucial for accountability. How will you ensure that your administration is transparent and open to the public? And what steps will you take to make government actions and decisions more accessible to the community?
One of the things that we need to do, myself along with the other commissioners, is to make sure that we're having town hall meetings to keep the public informed about what is going on. That is not something that our current leadership does. We get the excuse that, well, nobody showed up. It's because no one knew about it. We need to put it out on social media. We need to make sure the churches have access to different events and things that are happening. We need to make sure we're putting them in grocery stores. We need to make sure that we're collaborating with the school system in order for them to let people know what's going on and what's happening, so people are aware of these different types of things, because there is a huge disconnect with that right now as far as information not being received. Also, when it comes to government transparency, I think that it says a lot for me to be running this race with 2 people who have done this before, and to have a mayor here that has not even submitted their personal financial disclosure to the State Ethics Board, which is due 15 days after you qualify. And I also think it says a lot to have another candidate sitting here that submitted theirs late. If I am being held to a certain standard, I would think that our local government and the other candidates should be held to the same standard as well. So if we can't even have candidates doing what they're supposed to do as far as transparency with the state government, how are we going to get that with our local government if they get into office? Thank you.
There was a mention of current leadership, previous committees. If you all would like to rebuttal, Mayor Holberg, you would be first, and candidate Senior, you would be next. Rebuttal.
Oh,
if you would like to rebuttal
yes.
to Dr. Yeshonda's response.
So in terms of this, Doug, in terms of campaign financial disclosure reports, I'm required by law to file my December 31st report by June 30th each year. My financial campaign report was filed in January of this year, so I've met every letter of the law. I have filed all my disclosure reports on March 31st, I believe. December, every one of my reports have been filed. They've been filed with the city manager's office, so they are there for records. So I have never missed any of my financial reporting requirements. If you want to know anything about me, I've got copies at my office. So to take a cheap shot at me in regards to me not doing what the law, I'm required as an elected official to put my response in by the December 31st, 2022, and I've done it.
Can I clarify that? I said personal financial disclosure, not your campaign.
My personal campaign
If you-
disclosure report was filed on by
If you go to the
Can-
state ethics website right now, it's not there.
Dr.
I filed
Doc,
mine with the city manager's office.
It's not there.
Dr. Jones, Mayor Holberg, we have to hold time here. We have to hold time here.
Yes, Dr. Jones included me about the financial disclosure that mine was late. I filed it after I qualified. I didn't do it before. And everything is there. I was told I was in good standing. So I don't know, maybe it's a gotcha moment. I'm not sure. But I've done what I was asked to do and not hiding anything. So, and I'm free to address any charges that she may have or any of you may want to levy to me. I have nothing to hide. So, thank you.
Did you need me to repeat the question for the, was that your answer? Oh, okay.
No, I was doing the rebuttal. That's what that was.
Now you need to, all right, so I can repeat the question again for you. Transparency in government is crucial for accountability. How will you ensure that your administration is transparent and open to the public? And what steps will you take to make government actions and decisions more accessible to the community?
Yes, I will do all the means and measures that are available to the office as mayor and as a commissioner and as the commission itself for the board here in Griffin. Also, many of you may have never been attended a city commission meeting. They are public. I think they stream them online. I would not expect a crowd every night that we have a board meeting to be in there. You know why? Because that's the purpose of electing a mayor and a commission, so that you do not have to. But when we got general Monday.
For having the city. I continually post information on Facebook in terms of different activities in downtown, and whenever there's an issue in regards to taxes and things like that, I try to be transparent of the position I have on that. So open door policy, always a pleasure to serve. Thank you.
All right, before moving on to the next question, We want to reiterate that we ask for common courtesy and respect of each candidate. So if you all could, please monitor the sounds, tones, hold your applause, and all that stuff until the end of the actual debate. And we're going to move on to question number 4. And Dr. Jones, you started at the last one. You will be the start? Okay, Doctor. Okay. Candidate Daoud Amin Sr. will start this 4th question. Many young people in our city lack access to essential services. How do you plan to support youth services and programs that can provide opportunities and resources for our younger residents?
Thank you. 4 years ago, while campaigning here in Griffin, I would go out throughout the community. I would meet what some would say gangs. And I would, as they say, I would roll up on them by myself. I would get out, I would engage conversation with them. And I would ask, what are the concerns that you have? And I was listening to those young men. And what I found out, if there was options, according to them, they would look to take up some of those options. And what I shared with them, I said, listen, there are certain things that we can do beyond just the norm. I asked them how policing affects them, how they are in groups and they're just standing on the corner bothering no one. Police roll up on them and they're getting patted down, things like that. And I said, so where are you? Vacant lots. I said, well, we need to buy those lots. I said, most of you, I said, you guys, y'all generate money. Some of these lots, they're no more than $10,000. I said, what if it was 25 of them? I said, the 25 of you, y'all could buy this lot. I said, you could form an LLC. I said, I'm in business. I could show you how we could do that. And I shared with them some of these things. I told them the city of Griffin got an ordinance now where you can get golf carts legally and ride the streets of Griffin. I said, some of you don't have a license, but you can drive a golf cart. I shared with them how you can transport people in your neighborhood to the stores, how you can create a business. I told them power centers of jobs right over here on 155 in McDonough, how if you had a way to get there, I said, what if we bought some vans? And we reached out to the business owners in those industries. And if they want, they got a sign all the time saying jobs, jobs, help wanted, help needed. I said, we could go over there. And I said, then you all could be the job creators, taking people back and forth to the jobs. So we had a very engaging conversation. These are things that I'm advocating. And you know what? Whether I'm elected mayor or not, you think I'm going to let being mayor stop me from doing those things that I know that are necessary, that those young men can do? And that's what I'm going to do. November the 8th, whether mayor or not. Thank you.
As I mentioned in my opening statement, I have a passion for young people and mentoring and teaching folks. I look back at my job, as well as Mr. Amin, having employed many of folks in this community. Mr. Centel Brown actually had his first summer job working for me in the rental business, learning how to paint and clean. He realized early on that wasn't something he wanted to do the rest of his life. But people have to have a work ethic. People have to be given opportunities. I pushed diligently when I've learned about the opportunities with the College and Career Academy, similar to a comprehensive high school, and pushed and supported the efforts of the school system to create the Regional College and Career Academy. I've mentored kids at schools. I read to kids. I'm a former scout leader, soccer coach. I still spend Sunday afternoons and the evenings going to Pike County and coaching, and not coaching, but just having a pickup game with folks in their teens and in their 20s, playing soccer and listening to them, writing their referrals and letters of recommendation for their jobs once they get out of college. So each of us can make a difference in the life of our young people. We just have to step up, take the opportunities. Rising Star Baptist Church, wouldn't it be unbelievable if they had a Cub Scout pack, a Girl Scout troop? Wouldn't it be great if every neighborhood had a sense of adults that came together and worked together for the greater good of our young folks and show them how to succeed and be successful? Thank you.
Okay, so Let's talk about failure of our current leadership with our youth. If you want to come up here and grab what these are, is the comprehensive plan that I was on the steering committee for in 2018. And in this comprehensive plan, goal 1 was support local youth development initiatives and partnerships, and in the policy 5, support local youth advisory council. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. Here we are doing an updated plan, and we have to continue to repeat the same things over and over and over again because our current leadership is not doing anything to help our youth. Working with the Village Kids nonprofit, our youth advisory council, Manna from Above, and not another statistic, we have been doing different projects with our youth, such as TheraPlay, helping them with their mental health, as well as taking them on college tours. And we had some young men that signed up at Southern Crescent because they have an awesome program called Equity, where they can enroll at 16 as long as they have taken 4 maths and 4 English classes. And they can get skills such as automotive, machine tool technology, and welding and things of that nature. But we're not talking about what was going on 4 years ago. We're talking about what's happening right now. These young men, you keep saying jobs, but these gang members are becoming 12 and 13 and 14 years old. They need a youth center. They need a swimming pool. They need mentorship. They don't have any of these things. And before I close with this question, I just want to say that the election is actually November 7th, so don't show up on the 8th because nobody will be there. Thank you.
Once again, if everyone could please be mindful and respectful of each candidate to keep the chatter down, if we could. Also, at this time, we will allow the standing mayor as well as candidate Amin to rebuttal.
Yes. The November 8th date I gave, that was intentional. November the 8th is the day after the election, meaning I'm going to be about the business after the election. That's what I'm talking about. I think I was very clear on that. Election day is November the 7th. I know that. So don't misunderstand what I'm saying. And what I was saying is that because November the 8th, when the campaign is over, everybody go back to their safe zone. And that's what I'm going to be going about, doing the work. Thank you.
Thank you. The Griffin Spalding County Service Delivery Strategy clearly states that Spalding County government is responsible for the recreation purposes. We have community centers. We have the Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club that could be involved. Our biggest challenge, though, is people are not stepping up to be volunteers. People are not stepping up and stepping into the roles that we used to have when I was a young person. We have to fight to try to find coaches for our different leagues. We have to beg and plead to get folks to be a Girl Scout leader. Or usually we aren't able to even have a program because we don't have adults. So it takes a community to come together for the greater good of the citizens and create those after-school programs and mentoring and fellowshipping and teaching them. Thank you.
We are definitely trying to stay within time restraints. We understand that people have other things to do, and we really appreciate you all for coming out. This evening, we're going to move on to question number 5, and after that, we'll possibly take maybe just a 2-minute pause to gather things, and then we're going to open up the questions for the public. So at this time, Mayor Holberg, you will start this set of questions off, and if you all need me to reread the question to you after the candidate before has spoken, I will gladly do so. Question number 5. Access to equitable utilities is a pressing issue. How will you ensure that all residents, regardless of their income or neighborhood, have access to reliable and affordable utilities like water and electricity?
Thank you. Griffin Power is one of 49 participant public power communities served by MEAG Power. Griffin owns and maintains our system, as well as power generation projects consisting of solar, nuclear, hydro, natural gas, and coal. According to the Georgia Public Service Commissioner's Summer 2023 Summer Rate Survey, the cost of 2,000 kilowatts of power in the city of Griffin is $313.12 compared to Georgia Power customers of $343.63, $30 less. Griffin utility rates for power, water, sewer, trash, and stormwater are competitive compared to other cities. Each year we have to make tough budgetary decisions. We have to focus on our capital outlays. Just coming up in the near future, we've got to spend $40 million to rebuild Harry Simmons' water treatment plant that was built in the 1930s. We are right now spending $13 million rebuilding the dam at Heads Creek Reservoir. We are about to have to spend $40 million to upgrade our Shoal Creek our land discharge to a direct discharge, which is another $40 million. So we have to make tough financial decisions in terms of what it costs to provide the service. At the same time, we've received over 10 CBG grants and rebuild the infrastructure for water and sewer to make sure that you have dependable, reliable utilities. Thank you.
Well, Mayor Holberg just laid out the financial facts. I'm not going to dispute those. So it tells me this. The city has a budget for fiscal year, what is 2024, of right at $144 million. And of that $144 million, 45% of it is generated through electrical rates. What does that tell us? That the electric department, Griffin Power, is carrying too much of the load. We need to expand our base to generate more revenue. We don't need to keep trying to dice and carve up everything with a smaller budget. Let's increase the pie. What do I mean by that? If Griffin Power had a bigger customer base in the way of large electric users. You know, Metro Atlanta is poised to be one of the great data centers regions in this country. Data centers are very popular. They're big. Most of them run 1 million or so square feet. They use like a megawatt plus power. That's a lot of power. They pay a lot of money. And the thing about it, Griffin should be in the market of trying to attract data centers. They got data centers popping up in South Fulton, Douglas County, Noonan, Georgia. Next door, we need to be about getting our development authority, trying to court some of these data centers so they can locate here and start paying those big rates. Expand the infrastructure to take it on up out of these main corridors and bring in more by we having more rooftops here, then we can generate more of those big boxes that will come into this area for retail development. Let them carry the load, not the everyday residential person. And then I'm not saying your rates are going to go down, but what I'm saying, a large segment of the utilities won't be on the back of the everyday citizen, and let the big boys carry that, and then all of a sudden you look around, there's no need for the everyday residential user carrying the lion's share of what we are generating when it comes to electricity. Let's get these data centers. Let's get these big industry that use a lot of power to pay those rates so that you and I, those seniors that are on fixed income, can be able to pay their bills. Thank you.
Let's actually talk about things that can be done tomorrow when it comes to the utility rates. At the last forum, I informed everyone that with the MEAG agreement, it is a 50-year agreement that we cannot get out of until 2046, and that Mayor Holberg's father was responsible for signing that. Let's talk about what we can do now for people that are receiving $900, $1,200 utility bills, because you can't put someone in a payment plan when they're going to receive another bill for the next month, and then they're stuck in this nonstop cycle. What we need to do is actually give the residents credit, because the majority of what's happening is the slumlords. They are living in these different homes that are lean-to shacks, that don't have insulation, that have 15-year-old appliances, that have single pane instead of double pane windows, where the whole wiring system for utilities needs to be replaced. We need to hold these slumlords responsible, because that is what's gearing these different utility bills to be so high. Put the onus on the property owners for them to pay that load. And if they don't want to do it, fine them, okay? You still don't want to do it, double fine. Still don't want to do it, how about you can't rent to anyone for 5 years, okay? Let's get these certification programs going where if someone is renting, they have to have an inspection to show that these appliances and anything that they have in the house is up to date as far as energy safe. That's what we need to be doing. But of course, we can't expect our current leadership to do it because he's a slumlord. Thank you.
It's always nice to take cheap shots. I've actually sold 2 houses to Rising. I've actually sold 2 of my former houses to Rising Star Baptist Church. I built new housing around this neighborhood like when no one else would. But get back to the utility rates was the question. City of Griffin is very competitive. We set our rates every year. We look at where Georgia Power's at, and which has to go through the Public Service Commissioner. We set our rates below that. We also have won every single power load of new industry that is built at the lakes of Green Valley as well as Caterpillar. Not because we charge them too much, but because we charge a reliable price that is competitive with Georgia Power, Central Georgia EMC. We transfer 15% of our profits from the general fund to the general fund from the electric sales. Our sales are about $60 million. We transfer $1.8 million from the water wastewater to our general fund. The power transfer is about $8.5 to $9 million a year. We bring in $4.5 million in property tax. We end up, our police budget is $13 million. Our fire department is $7.5 million. We have the benefit of being you, the shareholders, for the greater good of Griffin through our power usage.
Candidate Daoud Senior, would you like to rebuttal?
I don't think she'll attack me.
All right. Well, we're gonna take a brief 1 to 2 minute break. At this time, we're gonna open up questions for the public. And what happens here is before we go, I'm gonna go ahead and let you know how it's gonna go. You can step to the podium there. You have 30 seconds to ask your question, and the candidate has 60 seconds to answer. And also, we will rebuttal with the 30 seconds that is allowed. And we please ask that you all show respect, common courtesy, be mindful of your neighbors. Thank you. If we could, everyone to get back seated, please, if you could take your seats. We're about to get ready to restart the programming here for our debate. If we could get everyone to please get to your seats. We are working in a tight time frame here. If we could get everyone to get to your seats, please. And just to reiterate, the order of the open public questions, you have 30 seconds to the podium. We can just go one at a time, and we do have a time frame. We have a time limit and also amount of questions that we will allow to be taking place. Please be mindful, be respectful of each other, the candidates, when posing your questions. And also, once again, hold all noise off, all applause to the end of the debate, please. Thank you. And the questions will be for each candidate. Each candidate will answer the question. How we've been going throughout the event. I'm sorry, there is a change of plans. However, you can direct your question to a certain candidate. Your question can be directed to a certain candidate. Open.
Is it on? Okay. My thing is, I want to know, I know the question, the things that you said about what you're going to do for the youth now. We want to know what you've done previously to help our youth and all of the crime and everything for the real crime and the real youth, other than some type of paid membership of Boy Scouts and things that you have to pay. What about the youth that doesn't have those means to do the things that we do? And I would ask for all of the audience that has had anybody that they loved ones or anything that's lost their lives or suffered from crime here in the city of Griffin for the, how many years? Y'all said that y'all been on the board for 20 years throughout this time frame. Because if money is the answer, then what are you saying to the people who's lost those kids that had to bury their children?
Who was it a direct question? It's for any candidate?
Honestly, it's for any question. I mean, for anyone. We kind of see, we see who pounds the stone. I want to know who hasn't.
There's a lack of family values in society as a whole. It requires a community. As Hillary Clinton said, it takes a village to raise our families. It requires our citizens to step up and take ownership. If I messed up in my neighborhood when I was a kid, there was always a neighbor that made sure that they let my parents know what I did or should have been doing, and there was a consequence. My dad had a nice leather belt, and I'm the NRA. I didn't know who the NRA was, but I was afraid of his belt. And so we as parents, I've raised 2 kids, both have graduated college, are doing great in life. I've also helped raise many other children, but I've also had friends and family that have lost children to opioids, to situations that were beyond their control in terms of being killed and murdered. I've had one of my employees whose son played Russian roulette and blew his brains out. I know the tough things that families are going through, and I believe in organizations such as youth sports, scouting. I believe in our churches. I've been a youth leader at First Baptist Church since 1999, doing small group on Wednesday nights and teaching Sunday school to our youth. I understand what young people think because I was a struggling student when I was coming through school. A 2.0 student that fought all the time with my dad, but I kept being pushed from people, mentors, friends. And that's what we have to do is step up and take ownership. This church is doing a great job. Pastor Duff, my understanding, is doing chess clubs at Moore Elementary. I teach my kids that I work with at Atkinson how to play chess, how to play checkers, how to think critically. That's what we as adults have to do. Government cannot solve this problem. It's the community. The community has to step up. And I challenge each of you, if you're not involved with your church or a sports team or the Salvation Army, I challenge you to just raise your hand and say, I do. I'm willing to serve. Thank you.
Next candidate to respond to the question.
Yeah, I want to respond because I think she was looking for real solutions to the problem. Let me say this. I feel that there definitely needs to be more collaboration collectively among our nonprofit organizations as well as our faith-based churches and things of that nature. But I don't want to blame the parents. You have a lot of parents that are working 2 or 3 jobs trying to make ends meet. You have a lot of parents that are overworked and underpaid. So it's a very complex issue that is going to need complex solutions. But I will say that we definitely need to start with the $4 million for the pool and the community center would be a great start since we've been asking for that for 5 years now and we haven't gotten it. And I would also say that if we could find a way to put together a relationship plan as far as different communities and our youth. The issue is, again, there's a lot of disconnect between our local government, our nonprofit organizations, and our faith-based leadership. It's going to take everyone, and I also believe that if we're going to do the job, we need to make sure that we're being consistent in our application. Because a lot of times you have people that will get upset about someone being hurt or killed and rally together, and then it tapers off. But we have to make sure that we stay the course and continue to be that bridge in between them and what they see is an alternative path.
That can be a very complex answer to that question. At the same time, many of the things, first of all, I'm relaxed. I feel good tonight. I'm engaged with people that are serious about the future of their community. I have nothing but respect for the current Mayor Holberg, for the other challenger, Dr. Yashonda Jones. All I'm saying is this. Let's get about the business of working together to find solutions. No one have one answer that's going to address every single issue. I'm not here tonight. I got a lot of ammunition I could use. I'm not here to do a gotcha. I'm not here to make anyone look bad. I'm here to let you know I'm ready to go to work to be your mayor. So we as a community can address these ills. And I've worked for mentorship over my lifetime. I can go back many years and talk about all the different people. I've accepted responsibility for young boys and girls that have just one parent, very little income. I've created jobs and hired people to work and so that they could take care of themselves. I've done all of that. But now I want to do more. I want to lead this community. I want to make sure that I use the office of mayor as a platform so that we can address the serious ills that are facing our community. Thank you.
Next question.
Good afternoon. Just to piggyback off what she was saying, I am one of those parents whose child has suffered grave danger and nothing has come of it. But my question is, I feel pretty confident that I know from community engagement and the different forums that I've attended, and of course some of the various commissioner meetings and things of that nature. I'm pretty confident that I know where Dr. Yeshonda Jones stands on a lot of issues. But it seems to me as though, with all due respect, Mr. Dadawu and Mr. Holberg, since I've been here, and no, I'm not a native of Griffin, but since I've been here, I've not seen either of you use your tenure of service to do anything that you're claiming you plan to do during your mayoral candidacy. And I find it's perplexed and a bit unorthodox that you had no intentions of running until she qualified. But now you have elected to.
Sorry, Will.
But I'm going to.
For a question.
Yeah, my question is, why wouldn't you forego, since you've attempted this before, why wouldn't you forego your candidacy and support the person that we all know in our community has been out there in the trenches doing the work, has not gotten the recognition or the pay?
All right, we're going to have to wrap it up.
I'd just like to know if he would be willing to support.
We'll be able to get the rebuttal.
I'd be more than happy to answer her question. Thank you. First of all, I can say this. I qualified to run for mayor this year. 4 years ago, I qualified to run for mayor. Mr. Holberg can attest. I came within 15 votes of being the mayor of Griffin, as it been stated, but I still lost. He can also attest. Had no attitude. I went about business as usual. I don't plan on burning any bridges running for this office. Secondly, being that I was that close to being mayor, there was over 1,300 people telling me, you need to run again. So you can say everybody pushing you to do whatever you are doing. I have over 1,300 votes telling me you need to do it again. And I had people telling me this past 9 months, please run again. You're not going to give up. You're going to run again, aren't you? I said, right at the moment, that's my intention. We will see. And I qualified before the deadline. And I was told I would be splitting the votes. And I said, how am I splitting the vote? When me, as a private citizen, then I had someone tell me, I'm going to tell her she needs to withdraw. I said, please don't do that. She has the right as an American citizen. She meet all the minimum qualifications. She should run. I said, because I think it's a great thing. Griffin has 3 candidates. They get to choose who they think best represent this city. I refuse to allow myself, to lower myself, to be harsh toward Dr. Jones or Mayor Holberg. That is not in my nature. I'm sorry that you all may not know me, but those that do know me, I've been around here a long time. Whether it was running Salam Seafood or Mean Sheet Metal or creating jobs and businesses, and I come from the south side of Griffin, down below the hospital, off of Day Street, then later off South 9th Street, come up in a household with a single mother, 6 children, so I know hardships. And I went to a trade school, and I went about doing my business. So I'm sorry that you all feel that way, but all I can say, even that there, I'm still want to represent you as your mayor. Thank you.
My dream was to be a second lieutenant in the United States Army. In 1989, was medically discharged. My son right now is in California in the desert, training as a second lieutenant, preparing to head to Greece and eventually to the Bosnian states in March to protect this country. Whether Mr. Amin, in terms of our relationship, we go back many years. I've appointed him to many boards as an elected official, Development Authority, the Main Street Board, the Industrial Development Authority, Downtown Development Authority. Mr. Amin is worthy of running for this spot. And to try to say that it's not his time or he should step aside, Mr. Mameen is an honorable, good man, and I love him as a human being. But I also love this community just as much as they do, and I work hard every single day of my life. My life verse is 2 Thessalonians 3:1-3. Brothers and sisters, never tire of doing what is good. I live by the 12 principles of the Scout Law. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and most importantly, reverent. I let the Holy Spirit lead my walk every single day of my life. I make my decisions based on what I think is for the greater good of all of our citizens. And I will continue, whether elected or unelected, to serve this community because I love Griffin, Georgia, and I love David Amin because he's a great American. God bless you.
So let me start by saying, those of you who know me, which is pretty much everyone in this room, you know I don't hold any punches, and I'm not going to. I'm going to state the facts, whether someone's feathers get ruffled or not. You need to know the truth, and you need to be informed about the people that are running for office. So with that question, respectfully, I'm not rattled. I think there is a clear distinction of the candidates up here that you've seen on Monday night as well as tonight about who is best qualified to do the job. So all we need to know is that we need 3,000 votes, period.
All right, before we go to the next question, once again, crowd, please, let's contain ourselves. Also, if you could, please stay on task with your questions. Also, candidates, stay on task with your answers. Thank you. You may proceed.
Hello, my name is Stanley Atkins II, and I'm a native of Griffin, Georgia. And you can take this bit of information and use it in the future. There are no simple solutions to complex problems. So the crime, the power bill, taxes, it's a multifaceted problem. You have to come to these meetings. You have to know what's going on. Don't just show up when you see it on Facebook. And so that leads me to our candidates. You say that a majority of the money comes from power bills. Well, I also know that a majority of the budget that is spent goes to fund the jail. Now, we talk about over-policing and we talk about gangs. So we do have a need for jail. There are some people who need to be in it. There are some people that don't need to be in it. My question is for the candidates is, I've been a part of 3 successful cannabis decriminalization ordinances in the state of Georgia. Georgia has over a dozen cities and districts that have decriminalized the simple possession of cannabis. I would like to propose a decriminalization ordinance that would decriminalize possession of less than 1 ounce of cannabis, replacing it with a $75 ticket that is a civil fine. They would also, that some of those proceeds would go into drug intervention courts for youth, because I've heard the pundit that cannabis is a gateway drug. Well, it's not. Cannabis is an exit drug. And for a lot of these teenagers who are out here who have access to fentanyl, Percocets, and pistols, I would much rather them have access to that, because one cannabis arrest for a youth could derail their entire lives. They could lose scholarships, get kicked out of school, and then they go on probation. They can't pay the probation. Now they're out there at the jail, and we paying to feed and house them. So that is my question to you. Would you be in support of a cannabis decriminalization ordinance of up to 1 ounce in the city of Griffin?
So just for clarity, the jail is run by the county and the sheriff's department, so the city does not have that. Our police budget is $13 million. The Spalding County Sheriff's Department is around $20 million. So as a community, we spend $33 million on law enforcement. I have never smoked weed in my entire life, laugh or whatever, but I listened to Nancy Reagan, and she said just say no, and also the wrath of my dad was the other reason. If the state of Georgia changes the law in terms of it being decriminalized, then I will support it. But from what we've been told, it has to come from the state legislature and changing the law in regards to decriminalization of possession of marijuana and go from there. So that's my position. But at the same time, but I said I would support it if it came from the General Assembly in terms of, because right now we're told that we can't as a city decriminalize. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Stanley Atkins II. I would be in favor of finding out more about these other communities that you address, and I would definitely like to see it become decriminalized. I don't think a young person's life should be destroyed on something of that nature, especially the way the country is going today. So if elected, I would definitely welcome you to come before us in committees and study this matter so that we can get about the business of making sure that's another pitfall that the youth in our community, the young people, people in general, would have to deal with. Thank you.
Decram, definitely I'm in favor. It does not need to come from the state legislature. There are plenty of other cities that have done ordinances in order to decram. I have spoken with Sheriff Dix as well as Judge Thacker. They don't care to try to prosecute these types of cases. They want to go after those who have committed real crimes and are causing real issues in the community. I have worked with so many different individuals to help them restore their rights and receive pardons, and the majority of those are because they got arrested for drugs. And sometimes it's a personal stash, but you're stuck in a situation where you have this mark on your record. So I would definitely be in favor of a decrim, and it's not something that we need to wait on till election. It can be done with 4 votes. Let's start on that tomorrow.
If we could, once again, be respectful and be mindful of your candidates, your neighbors. And let's keep the noise, the applause down until the end. We're getting close here. We have another question from the public.
I'm sorry, I'm going to sit down because I have a disability
That's fine.
that's affected by that. I've spoken several times at city commission meetings. My name is Tina Marie. I've been in Griffin about 5 years. And I want to address the open door policy, or my question is around the open door policy, transparency, and which is a part of the huge disconnect with your residents in the city. So when I first moved here in 2018, I addressed Griffin Utilities about some of their policies that affect power-dependent customers like myself, because I need power to live, because I have a heart pump. I was ill-advised, telling there was nothing I can do. So in case you're not aware, if you have oxygen, CPAP, and hemodialysis, they do have health of a resident for you, but they will tell you they don't. After speaking at several city commission meetings from 2021, I've sent emails asking to meet, asking specific questions around utilities, only just to get no response and no meeting. Finally, Mayor Holberg will tell you that they have, just as of recently, added my concerns to the December 12th workshop and city commission meeting, which I'm thankful for because that's a first step. However, my greater concern is the lack of transparency and open door. Like, I should not be told I cannot be met with. I shouldn't be told that just recently after I did a live on Facebook and addressed some things at the city commission meeting, read some emails that our city manager, Jessica O'Connor, was not happy about. She actually emailed me the following day telling me that she will not send me any more email responses. I replied and told her that is a violation of your code of ethics. She immediately responded saying, that's not what I meant. Don't take my words out of context. There was nothing taken out of context. That she would continue to respond. To date, Mr. Mayor, she has not responded. There are emails that are outstanding from 2021 as well as 2023 that she has not responded to. So my question is to all of you, what will you do to truly address the act of being transparent, operating a genuine open door policy that's welcoming to everybody? I don't care what your status is, how much money you make, disabled or able-bodied, and holding city employees accountable when they fail to do so.
Well, I'm not in office, haven't been, but all I can say is concerning your question, if elected, I would definitely direct all department heads from the city manager on down to whatever capacity, whether it's code enforcement or whatever role they play with the city, to be transparent with the general public. Let them know they are the one that pay the salaries. They are the one that make everything works here. And let it be known that this is the way it's going to be going forward. If they've been accustomed to not having to address certain issues, if they don't like the individual or they feel that they're bothering them, then say that is not going to be tolerated going forward. We got to be, as you stated, more transparent in the things that we do and how we operate this city.
Thank you again, and we have had that conversation, and I've listened to your concerns, and we are working through the process. We are reviewing our customer service policy, but our policy also has to go through our Board of Commissioners, and you've got to have 4 votes. So your concerns are valid. At the same time, I think some of the ways that you have phrased your questions in your emails have been a little not accurate. But at the same time, I've done everything I can to work diligently to try to get your concerns addressed. And as always, I have an open door policy. I respond to your emails. I've responded to your comments. And just like any other citizen.
You have not responded to my emails, and I have
No,
never
your
been.
emails have been directed to
Yeah, you just said
city
you
manager,
responded. Okay.
And so you've copied me, so you haven't directed. Right, but when we talk, I'm always open for conversation, talk with you no matter what. But thank you very much.
Well, I would like for you to let me know what things were inaccurate because you have never told me that.
Okay, so I'd just like to say this is where actually attending these meetings and community advocacy comes into play. Me and Miss Tina have seen each other at these meetings, and we actually had a conversation about 3 meetings later because she was frustrated, she wasn't being heard, and I told her, as the chair of the Citizens Diversity and Inclusion Council, this falls under our purview. So I made sure that myself and Sharon got involved, and we reached out to city government on her behalf, which is now the reason that they want to put this on the December 12th calendar. But this is what community advocacy looks like. We do this all day, every day. Not just because it's an election going on, but we're always making sure that we're helping the citizens in the city of Griffin. Thank you.
Good evening. My question is for Mayor Holberg and also for Mr. Amin. Mayor Holberg, you have on numerous points during the debate taken zero accountability for measures that have been brought up during commission meetings to help our youth development that have been shot down by yourself. But yet you place the finger and place the blame on the community, on the parents. What accountability do you hold for the thing, as a leader of our city, for the things or the way that the city is now? Because you can sit up here and read from a paper and say that Griffin is so great, but as citizens, we see that it is not. Mr. Amin, similar question. You mentioned that on November 8th, you'll start working. And you mentioned during the candidacy in 2019, you were working. But in the meantime, what has been done? What have you been doing? What work is being made to make this place better? That's my question. Thank you.
Doug, I'm going to go ahead since I was the last one that she addressed.
There you go.
I, along with my 3 adult children, we've been engaged here in this community. We try to not do things with a lot of fanfare. We've had food, grocery giveaways to 300 plus families we fed. We have a small business. We've employed dozens of people. You want to know what else that we are doing and have done? I can go down the list. For us, the actions that you're talking about, youth. In 2015, I stepped out and I went out and I volunteered to chair the SPLOS that's building the aquatic center here in Griffin. The Fairmont community, the Rosenwald project, where the African American History Museum is being placed, I was out in front pushing the Fairmont alumni to support that SPLOST that's putting the Fairmont alumni community on the map by doing the Rosenwald project, the African American History Museum. When I was on the GSBTA, a group that I formed in 2017, we're generating over $250,000 a year in hotel motel taxes. $75,000 going toward that facility. That is money that people outside of Griffin, when they come and stay in these hotels and motels, they spend, and it's going to go to generate money there. The sound system you hear downtown Griffin, from that hotel motel dollars. The park at 6, right there on the corner of 6th and Solomon. When I was on the Main Street Advisory Board, I chaired that group that developed that park. So I can go on and name many things that I've been a part of and that I have done. All I'm saying to you is, I just don't do it with a lot of fanfare. And by me running for office, I need to let the people know the things that I've been doing and have done and continue to do.
I have a lifetime of service to this community. I give my all to this community. I've taken scouts all across this state, camping. I've taken kids all across the state, coaching. I diligently work to try to improve the lives of young people. And our city government, in terms of us as elected officials, have basically two jobs. As the city commission, our job is to approve the budget and to pass policies and procedures. We are not in the recreation business as a city government. We need to make sure when you flush the toilet, it goes down the drain and is treated and doesn't pollute people downstream. When you turn on your water, you make sure that you have one of 10,000 gallons of water, 10 million gallons of water that we produce every day. When you turn on the light switch, is to turn the lights on. Our job is to provide services, police protection, fire protection, taking care of the roads and our parks. Each of us has a responsibility to give back to the community. Each of us has a responsibility to tithe at our churches, to make sure that we are trying to create a better future for everybody. And I can only be one person. I give everything that I possibly can to help folks. And I can give you a brag sheet in terms of everybody that I've written letters of recommendation. The Youth Advisory Council came to my office this week and say, Mr. Doug, we'd like a donation. I didn't get a picture of writing them a check in. I'm there supporting folks behind the scenes, making sure the Salvation Army is working, trying to make Griffin a better place for everybody. And all I ask is that everyone else does their part as well. Thank you very much.
I think to clarify Jada's question, she was asking, what have you done today, yesterday, last week, last month, this year, in that capacity? And also, I'm not going to run down anything. Everyone here has seen me out in the community. As a matter of fact, I just want to ask anyone that I've had to help assist with anything, or if you've been involved in that, please stand up. This is consistent work. This is us collaborating. This is us working together to solve issues in the community, not just today, but every day. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, I have a question for the mayor. We're going to go back to the youth. I ride past the city park, city pool, probably almost every day. For the last 7, 8 years, I just want to know, and I'm all for the Boys and Girls Club that coming up, supposed to be happening in the future, but why haven't the pool been in operation, and the money that was having an operation, where have that went? Because the pool has been empty for maybe 7, 8 years. So, and that was a safe haven for all of our kids, especially my kids. And we just want to know, why haven't it been open, and where have the money went that was keeping it open?
So the 2016 SPLOST, we agreed with Spalding County that they would build a pool. They decided to build the Taj Mahal of over $10 million. I met as recently as last year with Spanky Holmes, school board representative, as well as Clay Davis, chairman of the county commission, at City Park, begging and pleading to please build the pool at City Park. For some reason, our county commission think it was a wise choice to put it outside of the city limits, so it makes it a challenge for folks to get there. The city pool at City Park, to rebuild it, and again, this is intergovernmental agreement with Spalding County, the cost of rehabbing that pool and making it operational post-COVID and when it was shut down, the cost was not worth it. We have also talked to the county about putting splash pads not only at City Park, but also at Fairmont Community Center and some of the other parks. So we've had this dialogue, but at the same time, you've got your silo, our silo in terms of the city, and the silo of the county, and the county made a choice to pull out of the city of Griffin. And unfortunately, we did not have the political clout to convince 3 of the county commissioners to do the right thing, and it's very unfortunate. To me, it's no different than them filling in the pool in 1970. That was a slap in the face of this community by not building the pool in City Park. So our budget was about $90,000 a year in terms of what our past budget to operate the pool, for chemicals, for labor and everything, was approximately $90,000 to $100,000 a year. So that money is just put back. I mean, we had an intergovernmental agreement with Spalding County. We actually offered that we would take care of helping pay for the utilities and everything else that we would normally put into the pool budget if they would put it in City Park. And again, they saw fit to not put it in City Park. And then they built this monstrosity of a pool instead of giving us neighborhood community pools. And I'm sorry, I pleaded my case multiple times, even to Tyrone Ward, who's the chairman of the Spalding County Recreation Authority, to please let's pressure them, and they were unable to do so. Thank you for your question, sir.
Let me respond. Back in April, when we got the scope of work for the pool, me and Mr. Driver, when we got the scope of work for the pool being $4 million, we specifically stated we didn't want splash pads. It would be disrespectful for you to try to replace a pool with splash pads. So I don't understand why that's even still a part of the conversation. Number 2, had you not gone against your council members for the local option sales tax negotiations and gave away $7 million to Spalding County, we could have had $4 million for that pool. Thank you.
The amount of money, the half-mil tax is actually about $50,000. Actually, if you look at our lost negotiations with the city based to appreciation, we actually did $500,000 more in lost revenue. So we continue as a community to grow because of internet sales and the inflationary economy that we have. Lost continues to grow. 1% sales tax now brings in a little over $1 million per month, 1%. So when you look at what's going on with the eSPOS, the reason why we're having to have the eSPOS a year earlier is because the school system ended up collecting all the money 1 year short time frame. So for her statement is completely inaccurate. Our intergovernmental agreement was that we were getting out of the pool business and the county was going to take that responsibility.
Next question, please.
All right. Okay. I actually had this question. I know where Dr. Jones stands on the issue. It's a recurring question, seems like. But I'm not going to ask Dr. Jones because, like I said, I know where she stands. The question was going to be for Mr. Holberg. However, he's already said that, you know, he's not about recreation. He's about, you know, handling the business of the city or whatever. So that answer he gave about the county trying to throw splash stuff on the county, like you already said that you don't do recreation. However, my question is going to go to Mr. Amin. Mr. Amin, I have the utmost respect for you. My dad has done a lot of work on your house. I don't know if you know me, but my dad knows you well. I've been at your restaurant. I've ate there many times. All of us have. I don't like this situation. This is my candidate. She's the best candidate for the position, in my opinion. The $4 million that she keeps screaming about, like for our kids to have a pool. When I look around, I see, when we talk about the community, I see the black community. We're talking about the kids in the black community. I hear stuff about Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. That is generic stuff for us. Would you be open to push to reopen, get the $4 million, or do whatever we have to do to get that pool reopened?
The key is where we're going to get the $4 million, okay? It's just like utilities. Where we're going to get the money to offset the cost of those that can't pay the bill because it's too expensive. I wouldn't want to tax everybody else for a few, but at the same time, I think it's deemed necessary. I agree that there should be recreation and a pool in this area, because there was a pool here 50 years ago, 60 years ago, when it was closed down. I'm open to the idea, but I know there are intergovernmental agreements, and I could say something that could possibly make you cheer tonight, but you know, that's not the prudent way to handle business. You need to be truthful. We're talking about transparency, being open and being truthful about it, but at the same time, we can look for philanthropists, we can look for grants, we can look for contribution from other areas, we can look for commission contingency funds that are generated annually. So I'm looking at taxes that can go from the hotel motel dollars that I talked about earlier, that can go toward doing bonds to sell that so that we can build those facilities. So I'm open to that. I'm open to looking at any means necessary within the guidelines of what the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners can do to address these concerns. And that's only one item that we need to address. But yes, I will be open to that, definitely.
Okay, we got the last three. We have the last three questions, and that'll be our time frame for this segment. You could go ahead and.
What I have is not a question. It's more like a statement. A bunch of questions been asked. Two of the candidates have just been dodging. You know what I mean? Two of the candidates have just been dodging the questions. And it's like leadership and community. You got to be connected. You're disconnected. You're disconnected. She's connected to the community. You know what I mean? This is our candidate.
Hold on a second, because I have to give the standing mayor, Douglas Holberg, and candidate Daoud Amin an opportunity to rebuttal.
I am very connected with the community. Who has here been to June Jam or the summer concert series? Or
the things that you'll keep bringing up, sir, we don't know nothing about it. You're helping a community.
Sir, we have to keep it at a temperature. We have to keep it at a temperature. We still have to respect. We have to respect.
If you're over here helping this community or these people,
sir, let's keep it at a calm temperature. Thank you. Allow Mayor Doug Holberg to respond to his question.
We as a community work diligently to create a sense of place and being. We work hard to engage and bring folks together. Right now, coming up this weekend is second Saturday. If you haven't noticed, the decorations have been out. We've got elementary schools that have painted the pumpkins, and for the pumpkin art, pumpkin walk. There'll be a concert this Saturday night that'll be put on in downtown Griffin. It is an opportunity for folks to see what is happening in downtown Griffin in terms of businesses, in terms of to create a sense of safe being and a safe place of doing. We have so many things. This week alone, I met with the lady that just bought the building where Slice's Pizzeria is diagonally across from the post office. She is about to open up a boutique hotel. She paid $1.5 million. She's investing in our hometown, Griffin, Georgia, as an outsider. We are working on creating a hotel conference center that will be in downtown Griffin, adjacent to historic City Hall, that will be somewhere between a $15 and $30 million investment, that will have 120 rooms and a conference facility that will create opportunities and jobs for folks that are here in Griffin to work, but also for us to be able to have our corporate partners who are in the industrial park or at University of Georgia Griffin campus here to have a place where they can come to a nice hotel downtown Griffin and go to our restaurants. We work diligently as a team to talk about the greatness of Griffin, Georgia, and that's what I do as your mayor every single day.
Well, first of all, I think the gentleman expressed his opinion. He told us who he's for, how he feels about things. I could see the frustration in his face, his body language. I have nothing to say about that. He's exercising his right and his freedom as a citizen to let everybody know his opinion. So I don't have anything negative to say about him or his position. Only thing I can say, obviously, the gentleman doesn't know me. Thank you.
Second to last question.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for coming to this forum to give us some information on how you feel about the operations and the running of our city. It would been addressed that no one come to the commissioners meeting, but for the last 35 years, me and Mr. Miller and very few have been there. I've seen commissioners come and go, and no one was there but me. I was considered a troublemaker because they told me I didn't have nobody behind me. We didn't have Facebook back then that everything was broadcast. So I was just a regular troublemaker going into the city of Griffin and this Spalding County because I brought up issues. But my question is, this is the question I want to ask. I'm so familiar with the appointments of boards that we have in the city of Griffin. The boards, the different appointments that people supposed to go out and gather information and bring back to the city of Griffin. But I see things in another way. I had constituents that looked like me saying that I was a troublemaker. But I gotta give Doug Holberg his props. Though he appointed me to a board of diversity, equity, and inclusion committee, which Dr. Jones and I all worked together on, in which she have told you about a lot of different things that we have brought forth in the last 4 years. My question is, how will you address each one of you candidates to putting proper people on these boards that represent the constituents? You got people on the health board that if it's not said the way that the commissioner want to vote, you know, that's the way they want it. They want you to be their proxy. I want our commissioners to put people on boards, that put people there to make sure that you bring the necessary information back to your commissioner as to the subject of where you're working at. Right now, the land bank, the health board, Spalding County Advisory Board. I was told I was a troublemaker in youth sports when me and Larry Fields were running yes ma'am, but I'm trying to be the last one. That's why I waited last, so I can bring this out. So cause
Just one more behind you, sir.
This is very important about our boards that we have our commissioner to point to.
Okay, let's get to a closing. We got one more behind you.
What I would like to know, how will you all address those issues to make sure that we have people that are gonna inform you back to the information that you need to make these decisions that you gotta make? Because right now, that 4-3 vote is mighty important. Thank you. I'm still a troublemaker.
I'll go ahead and address that question first. back in 2018, three of the city commissioners asked me to put together some diversity and inclusion initiatives that they could implement at the city. One of them being the Diversity and Inclusion Council. Last year in December, we put forth the most diverse roster of nominations to be appointed to these city commissions and boards. What happened in that meeting, and you'll remember this because me and Mr. Holberg got into a heated disagreement. What happened in that meeting was they continued to appoint the same people over and over and over and over again, which was totally disrespectful. In being that majority of the people that they appoint to these boards never show up. I'm on the Historic Preservation Commission. We have 2 members that never respond to emails or phone calls, to the point where we're not able to do the business we need to do because we don't have a quorum. But this is someone that Mr. Holberg appointed through nepotism, through, oh, I owe this person a favor, and that came out of his own mouth. There were people there that witnessed that. But we need to make sure that we are reflecting what this community looks like. These boards should reflect the population of this community, and that's how these people should be appointed along with their qualifications in the future.
Mr. Driver, it's a pleasure to have you come to our meetings. Roger Miller is one of those that would come to our meetings on a regular basis. And you know me, I'm able to have an open door policy for you to come by and see me anytime. Boards are very important. It's actually where a lot of the work of the city of Griffin gets done. I've appointed Dr. Jones to the Historic Preservation Commission. It was a 4-3 vote, and I voted for her. Mr. Amin, I have appointed multiple times and reappointed, and probably would reappoint him if he had sought his reappointment this past time. The folks that work on these boards, whether it's Development Authority, whether it's the Downtown Development Authority, who is pushing for the new brewery that's opening up, and that will be the catalyst for the new brewery. These different boards are the workhorses of the city of Griffin. The Downtown Council is the group that ends up doing the different promotional events in downtown Griffin. The appointments to the health board, the city actually only has one person, and it was appointed a new appointee this past time, the doctor, but the rest of the appointments on the health board are from Spalding County. So there are different areas of appointments. David Johnson we appointed to the Three Rivers Regional Commission. So there is a diverse group of folks that are put on the boards, but at the same time, they are people that end up not showing up at meetings. So we've got 2 on the Main Street board. One has just moved out, and another one failed to show up at the meetings, has been removed by our bylaws, and those spots will be reappointed the first of the year. So our boards are critical, but at the same time, some people think they should just be entitled to be able to just be stuck on a board without doing their due diligence. Someone that lives outside the city limits of Griffin, I think someone that lives in the city of Griffin should be appointed. If there's someone that's outside the city of Griffin that wants to be appointed to a city board, if they want to be on that board, get an appointment from the county commission. So we work well together. Generally, we vote 7-0 on most of our board appointments. There is sometimes there is a 4-3 vote, but the boards are some of our most important work that we do as elected officials to serve the citizens of Griffin. Thank you.
Definitely for us, the appointments to the various boards and committees and authorities. Most of the time, the elected official reach out to maybe their small circle, people that they know. And all I can say is that's not good enough. You got to reach out with other commissioners, other citizens that may know people that fit and that have a passion for some of these particular authorities, boards, or commissions. And that's what we're going to have to do, because it ain't nothing worse than appointing someone to a board and they never show up. And the reason they never show up because the person that appointed them, they just needed somebody. And the person finally agrees, okay, I'll serve. But they have no passion for it. Sometimes you have to reach out and find people that you don't know, that maybe don't think exactly the way you do, and I think it's better that way. You don't want someone to be a rubber stamp to think the way you think. Bring a little diversity, bring a little something extra to the board and this thought pattern. So all I can say is, based on the conversation tonight, many of you who stood up, I hope that you are on boards, and if you are not, I think you should enter your name to be a part of those boards, because they appoint members every year. Am I right, Doug? In January? Let's get about the business, okay? It's good to rally right now, but let's go ahead and do the work and be a part of one of these boards that you have a passion for. If you like sports, recreation, pool, you need to be a part of that rec board and be able to address those concerns. And I think that's what it starts at. That's what I did. And the reason I ran for mayor is because I wanted to do something beyond just those boards.
This is the last question.
Okay. I guess my question is, where have y'all been? And when I say where have y'all been, like Mr. Watkins said, okay, I guess my question is, where have y'all been? And when I asked that question, like Mr. Watkins said, I think it's a big disconnect, because you keep talking about June Jam and all these different things, and that we're this one community, but our kids are not attending these June Jams. What our kids are attending these kickball games that we're giving, these back to school events that we're having, that we, and when I say we, I mean me and part of pretty much all of these people in the room are doing. We're getting together and we are having these things, but I've never seen either one of y'all. So my question is, where have y'all been?
Each of us has our circle of activities. I spent the last 9 days, I've been a Kiwanis Club member since 1991. Thank you. I've been a Kiwanis member from 1991. I spent the last 9 days at the Kiwanis event as a volunteer, working there, which the money then goes back into different community organizations. I have been involved with the Downtown Council, which when we had June Jam this past year, we had over 3,000 citizens, all different races, ages, out there playing in the sand and having a good time. We do things to try to enhance the quality of life of the city of Griffin. I've been to backpack events. I've speak at schools. I've cooked hot dogs at schools. Each of us have our own inner circle of things that we work with. And so if, I go to talk to the Griffin Men of Action had a prayer walk. I was there with their event about a year ago and talked to them in terms of what I see that we as a community must come together. So all you got to do is invite me, and Doug Holberg will show up. I'll be out in stream cleanup with the Environmental Council stream cleanup coming up next Saturday morning, followed by a neighborhood town hall meeting that's going on at the Divine Church over on the corner of Kentucky Avenue. You ask me to be there, I'll show up. But at the same time, sometimes, Ms. Wendy Jackson, she's never been hesitant to give me a call for help. Salvation Army, when they need me, I'm not hesitant to help. So each of us makes a difference in the community that we love. And I'm just glad to be here tonight. But thank you.
Candidate Daoud, would you like to respond to? And then we're going to wrap it up after that.
Okay. All I can say is I do my work. I've not been in your particular circle, but I'm involved in this community. I've been involved in it for many, many years. I can only go back and share with you the things that I've done, the people I've been around, the things that I've done in the community, helping educational things through the private sector, helping those that have programs that need funds, making contributions to that. Understand something. Some of you may have a small business, and it's a sacrifice. You don't get the leisure of getting off every day at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and then doing other things. I chose what I do. I chose to be a businessman. And because of that, it takes a lot of time. But at the same time, I am engaged. And I'm just not engaged in the areas that you see me. But I am here. And I can go out and find, for every one of you that say, I've been absent, I can take you over on Broadway, Central, 4th Street, and I have people to stand up and say, oh no, yes, I'm engaged in my community. So that's all I can say.
All right, at this time, due to the time restraints, we're going to cut the closing minutes because the candidates, you all have actually heard from the candidates. So we're going to cut that closing statement to 60 seconds. Well, I'm sorry, I was told one thing. So we're going to go with the initial 3 minutes per candidate in your closing statement, and we're going to go with the order that was once discussed.
One, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. It is a true blessing to represent the city of Griffin. Our board works very hard together for the greater good of all the citizens of this community. Dr. Miles Monroe stated, leadership is not about control, but service. It is not about power, but empowerment. It's not about manipulation, but inspiration. The city of Griffin, along with our partners with Spalding County, as well as the school system, work very well together. We have an organization called the Archway Partnership that we meet on a monthly basis, and we created a strategic plan together that we are implementing and working through. Those pillars of that strategic plan is economic development, housing, public safety, achieving prosperity, and education. In this aspect, it is not just the city or the county or the school system that's getting this job done. It involves community partners, nonprofits, faith-based, concerned citizens to get involved. So as we begin implementing this strategic plan, I would like to encourage each of you to decide which of those 5 points is your passion and volunteer to be involved. There'll be monthly meetings that will be involved in terms of trying to make real-life solutions for the greater good of all the citizens of Griffin, Georgia. Again, it has been a pleasure serving as your mayor, as well as your elected official for 20 years. I love this town. I believe in the future of this community. I think we've laid the foundation for the greater good. To find out more about me, you can go to holbergforgriffin.com, and it's got a summary of my platform, my bio, as well as different things that I've been involved with over the years. God bless you, and thank you very much for the time.
I too would like to thank those responsible for hosting this event tonight. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend tonight to hear from each candidate. I look forward to the coming days as the campaign comes to a close, or as early voting begins, I think it's Monday, and election day, November the 7th. All I can say to you is that I can only be who I am. I can't reinvent myself. I'm known as an honest, trustworthy, faithful person, hardworking, truthful. I challenge you to go out and find something different, those that know me. And I must say, when I look around this room, I hope the passion that has been shown tonight will energize each and one of you to continue to be engaged, and don't let it stop when election day comes. Continue your engagement. Be a part of it. I know what I'm talking about. 20 years from today, some of you who are young enough, if you don't do everything that you're doing today, every day for the next 20 years, somebody will stand up in front of you and say, where have you been? What have you done? And they will know nothing about what you're talking about tonight. I know that from experience because I've been a part of it. I know how it can look. It's like he's not engaged. That's all I've been. That's all I've been. So I would love to serve as your mayor, meaning I want to go to work for you. Don't mean that I get to sit down. It means that I get an opportunity to show you that I'm ready to go to work and get the work done and bring real solutions to all of these problems that you're talking about, and ask you to be a part of that team to engage in that activity so we can bring about real change. I feel that I am the change candidate. I feel that I have what it takes. I've proven that. I feel that I have the vision. I feel that I have the leadership, and I'm definitely committed. So I thank each and every one of you. As Mr. Holbeck said, look up www.electdaoud.com. And trust me, it's all laid out right there. And I look forward to seeing you in the coming weeks. And let's have a very lively election and bring about change for Griffin, because I'm for the long haul, regardless of how the outcome comes. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for their attendance tonight, not just tonight, but also Monday. I'm Dr. Yashonda Jones. I am not just a mayoral candidate. I am a community advocate, and I have been a community advocate for years, doing the work in the community alongside everyone in here. After Monday and after tonight, I'll say again, I think you can see that there is a clear distinction between the candidates up here. We need real leadership for our real issues and our real problems. We need people who already know the leadership in the community, that are already doing the work, that are already bringing about solutions. We need creative and innovative ideas in order to make sure that our children are safe, in order to make sure that we have affordable housing, in order to make sure that we can get rid of these extremely high utility rates. But to be clear, I cannot do this alone. I need your help. I need your continued support. I need your continued trust, and I'm going to need your votes on November 7th. Thank you.
You can give the candidates a hand at this time. We appreciate each and every one of you all for coming out to participate this evening, and make sure you get to the polls on Election Day. Thanks